Hey, what's up guys, it's Kelly. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're talking about romance. If you find yourself enjoying this, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, it really helps me out, and if you're new here and would like to see more of me, then please subscribe. So I recently read two very different romances, and I thought that today I would just run through both of them with you, give you my thoughts. The reason I thought it would be fun to talk about these two books together specifically is like they're both romances, obviously, and they both in some ways follow kind of a similar theme, but have like very different settings, very different contexts, very different contents, and my reading experience of the two of them was very different. So we've got a Regency rom-com, fairly clean, fairly tame, and then a spicy BookTok romance. So let's dive in. First up, I'm going to talk about the Regency read because I finished this morning and I absolutely adored it, and that is The Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting by Sophie Owen. This is an ARC copy that I got through work from Jonathan Ball Publishers. This is set in 1818 and we follow Kitty Talbot, who is a young woman. Her parents have died and left her and her sisters with quite a significant amount of debt, and obviously they're all women in the 1800s, like there's nothing that they can really do. But Kitty, as the oldest, has one option. She can find a rich husband who can pay off all her debts and set her and her sisters up for life. So she heads off to London, and with the help of one of her mother's old friends who was an escort, alongside her mother, ingratiates herself into high society so that she can try to find a husband. All sounds fairly straightforward. Now Kitty is smart, she's strong-willed, she's tenacious, nothing is going to stand in her way. Except for Lord Radcliffe. Unfortunately, he is the brother of one of the first men that she sets her sights on, and he seems to be able to see right to the heart of her. His gaze cuts through all her pretenses and he clocks exactly what she's up to. So I started this back in July, doing a very relaxed, chilled buddy read with someone, and about halfway through I put it down and just didn't pick it up again. And actually I was seriously considering DNFing it because I was like, oh, I remember enjoying it as I was reading it, and I remember having a really good time with it, but I'm just like, you know, it's been so long since I picked it up, like, and I'm really trying to clear out my shelves, like maybe I should just get rid of it. And then I was doing a bit of a cleanup yesterday and I found it and I thought, no, you know what, I'm gonna just push through, finish it off. I'm probably gonna unhaul it anyway, but like let me just push through and finish it. And then at least I finished it because like I was really enjoying it. And the last like 120 pages of this book brought me immeasurable joy. So the writing is really great, like the whole way through. It's really witty and it's just like fun and whimsical. You are fully transported back to the Regency era, but it doesn't feel like stuffy. Like something about it still feels kind of fresh and modern, and I think that's a testament to what a great character Kitty is, and like the banter that she has with Lord Radcliffe, oh, so good. So I feel like if you enjoy Bridgerton, like, okay, I mean I haven't watched season 2 of Bridgerton, but I feel like if you enjoyed, from what I know of Kathleen, I feel like if you enjoyed like season 2 of Bridgerton, you'll really be into this, and like you'll really be into kind of the vibe between Kitty and Radcliffe. I mean, I just told you the synopsis, right? And that's like, what I told you is basically the synopsis. I keep holding the front cover, the back cover actually has the title on it. What I've told you is basically like the synopsis, right? I didn't give you any more spoilers than that, but like you know exactly how this book's gonna go, right? It's incredibly predictable, but in a way that you still have a really good time with it, and you really don't mind knowing what's coming. You just want to take the ride to get there because it's such a good time. And though I'll be honest, there were one or two curveballs, not in like the main romance plotline, but in some of the secondary storylines there are some curveballs there that I was not expecting, so like good for them. I thought Kitty was a really interesting character, and that I did kind of expect her character to develop in a way that she didn't, and I found her the more interesting for that. And like she knows that this is her duty, she knows that it is her duty to look after her sisters, to make sure that they're going to be provided for, that they're going to have a good life, and she really is willing to sacrifice so much of herself and so much of her future happiness so that they can be happy, which I found really admirable. And Radcliffe is, oh, he's just a testy bitch. He's just so salty, but also like really caring. You can draw a lot of comparisons between Pride and Prejudice and this. I mean, Kitty and Radcliffe are so reminiscent of Elizabeth and Darcy. Radcliffe's brother Archie has a very like Mr. Bingley vibe to him. Kitty has travelled to London for the season with her sister Cecily, who is very much like Mary, although she does have a couple of slightly more Lydia-esque moments. So yeah, you can definitely draw some comparisons to Pride and Prejudice. Even what like one of the plot points that happens is very similar to something that happens in Pride and Prejudice, but like you just don't care. You just get swept away in like how much fun it is and how it's just like it's a romp, you know when people talk about a Regency romp, like this is it. This is a romp if I ever read one. Absolutely loved it. And just the romance, okay, just the angst, the yearning, oh my goodness, the yearning. It's a third person narrative and you get to see a lot of POVs, so you see moments, you see flashes of like most of the main characters' POVs, and like you do get to see like moments of a lot of characters' internal monologues, so you get to see kind of everyone's reactions to Kitty as she works her way through society, and you get to be very aware of both Kitty and Radcliffe and the way that they start to develop and acknowledge their feelings for each other, and it's just so good. It's so good. I just, oh, I love a bit of yearning. I love it. I love a bit of yearning. And I loved this. I gave it 4 stars. Can't recommend it enough. Just go read it. If you are looking for a good Regency time, go read this. Like when I tell you that the kisses in this book made me swoon. Like, I don't remember the last time I swooned the way that this book made me swoon. Just go read it. Just go read it for a good time. Would recommend. Then on completely the opposite end of the spectrum, we have Twisted Games by Anna Huang. Now, the Twisted series is all over TikTok, like people be obsessed with these books. They're another one of those books that was self-published, has become a phenomenon because of TikTok, and has now been traditionally published. So the lovely folks over at Jonathan Ball sent me a copy of book 2 in the series, Twisted Games, which I recently read. Now I say series, there are 4 books currently, and you can read them out of order. You will get like minor spoilers for the other books in the series. So I started with book 2, I did get a minor spoiler for book 1, but like that spoiler was just that these characters ended up with each other, which like really, you're reading a romance, you're gonna know that the 2 main characters are ending up together, right? Like it also gave me 1 minor plot spoiler, but it gave me no context as to like how that thing happened. So if you're super spoiler phobic, then like read them in order. If you're not, you can read them in whatever order you want. Like it's not going to ruin the book for you, you're just going to get like very mild spoilers. So we follow Bridget. She's the princess of like a small European country. It doesn't matter like which, it's made up, it doesn't matter which one. But you know what it actually looked like in my mind was the country in Beautician and the Beast, which I forget the name of, but that's what it looked like in my head. Like parts of it looked like more quaint and looked like a Hallmark Christmas villagey, but like if you took like Beautician and the Beast and made that country into like a Hallmark Christmas village, that's what this place looks like in my mind. Okay, so Bridget gets a new bodyguard in the form of Rhys. Rhys is stoic, he's broody, he's arrogant, because of course he is. He is built like a brick shithouse, is that the expression? I don't know. He's built like a stack of bricks. And he has 2 rules. Protect his client at all costs. Do not become emotionally involved. Which one of those do you think he breaks first? And he has never, ever, not once, been tempted to break those rules until her. Bridget is stubborn, she's strong-willed, she is beautiful as the day is long, because of course she is. And as second in line to the throne, she has always been really happy about the fact that she's going to get to live her life the way that she wants, and she will get to fall in love and marry a man of her choice. Until her brother abdicates, just kind of leaving her in the lurch. Her brother abdicates, by the way, so that he can marry a commoner, because this country has a rule where you have to marry like nobility or like someone with royal blood, because that's not gonna like run its course, you know. You're never gonna run out of potential suitors that you're not related to. So her brother abdicates so that he can marry a commoner, okay? Now Bridget, who her whole life has not been prepared to take the crown, her whole life she's been expecting to get to live the life that she's always wanted, she now has to marry for connection. She now has to marry someone with royal blood so that she can take the crown. And I'm just like, my girl, like, it's fine for her brother to abdicate for love. It's fine for him to do that, but she is now bound by duty to marry a royal. And I'm just like, couldn't be me, you know? Like, if my brother, who had the duty, if my brother, who had been reared his whole life to fulfill this duty, was like, nah, not for me, fam. I'm not gonna take on that responsibility just because he doesn't feel like it. Is it a dumbass rule? Yes, it is. But like, that was never, she didn't want to be queen. She wasn't raised to be queen. And now, like, because he decided he didn't want to be king anymore, she has to take on all that responsibility? Anyway, Rhys becomes Bridget's bodyguard. Broody, hot guy, pretty, stubborn girl. They clash. They hate each other from day one. From day one, it's just like butting heads, like bad, like this in a bad way. But day by day, inch by inch, she breaks down his defenses until he can no longer resist her. And the more she gets to know him, the more she grapples with this newfound responsibility that's been thrust upon her, because she now has to hide her desire for a man that she can never have. I'm being so dramatic about this, but that's because it is so dramatic. Like, it's so dramatic. Okay, thoughts. This book was not like particularly well written. The writing is not gonna win any awards. The character development was I mean, there might have been some. There might have been some. I feel like any development that we saw was more just the two of them kind of breaking down each other's defenses and us learning more about them, rather than the characters really like growing that much throughout the story. I personally did not find that either of them like developed or grew that much. That's fine. The story didn't really call for it. The plot, let me just say, okay, there were two ways that I saw the plot going, and it somehow managed to combine them. So would I say that it is incredibly predictable? Yes, I would. Very, very, very much so. That said, I had a great time with this book. I read it in like 2 days? I might have been more days than that. I think I might have read it over like 4 days, but I think I read it in 2 or 3 sittings, because once I was in, and it's a really quick read. Like, she's thick. I think this book is over 400 pages, which is ridiculous for a romance. Like, why is it never the ones you want? Like, I could read The Love Hypothesis if it was 400 pages. I could read The Hating Game if it was 400 pages. This did not need to be 400 pages. I mean, neither of those books need to be 400 pages either, but like, you feel? It does not need to be that long. It is long. There are sections that are very drawn out, and the story is very predictable. Like in The Lady's Guide to Fortune Hunting, there is a lot of angst and there is a lot of yearning. There is also a lot of sexual tension. Actually, there's a fair amount of sexual tension in this. It's just like phrased more delicately because it's a Regency romance, but like, these two are hot for each other. They just don't say it in as many words. But yeah, there's so much angst, like so much angst. So yeah, it could definitely be a little bit shorter, but it was a very quick read. Like, actually reading it, like physically reading the words and turning pages, very, very quick. And it does suck you in. Like, I was invested, even though I really couldn't care less about these two because they were both so awful. Like, I didn't like either of them, but I was here for it, and I was here for their relationship and their drama and their mess. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the steamy scenes were likewise a good time, and there are a lot of them. There is a lot of sex in this book. There's a lot of sex in this book. And you know what? It was a good time every time. It was a little bit cringy, especially like the dirty talk was just, there were words used that are not my preference, and there were words used to describe the actual physical sex that are not my preference. So I definitely found it like a little bit cringy, but if you could get past the cringe, like it's a good time. It's a good time. I'm not gonna, it was a good time. There are books that I describe as like reality TV in book form, and they are books that as you're reading it, you're like, I know that my brain is not doing even a single tiny bit of work, and I do not mind because I'm enjoying the ride so much. And that was this book for me. Like, on any technical level, I cannot pinpoint anything about it that was good, but I had such a good time with it. I'm just like, yeah, it was a good time. The other hallmark for me of reality TV books is, as you're reading it, you're like, you have to acknowledge to yourself that you are loving it, but you kind of hate yourself for loving it. And that, likewise, is this book. I mean, I do have book 3 on my TBR, and I will probably read it, and I'm seriously tempted to go back and read book 1 as well, because Alex was in one scene of this book and I was like, you know what? Here for it. And also I keep seeing people fancast him as Charles Leclerc, and I'm just like, yes please. But yeah, that about wraps up what I had to say about Twisted Games. Like I said, I had a really good time with it, but it wasn't anything spectacular, but I had a good time. If you enjoy the typical like BookTok romances, probably go for it. I gave it 3 stars. I think just go into it with like fairly low expectations and you'll enjoy it. It'll be a good time. So that's it for me today. They may seem like 2 very odd books to combine to talk about together, but you know, they're both romances and they both have that interesting concept of like marrying for love versus marrying for duty, and I just had a good time with both of them and I wanted to talk about both of them, so I combined them in one video. Thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy this, then please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you aren't already. Let me know in the comments what you thought of either of these books, if you've read them, or just let me know what other romances I should be reading, because I am deep in my rom-com era. In the description you'll find links to all of my other social media. That's my Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Goodreads, as well as my website, which has a blog that is updated sometimes, and my TikTok. You'll also find links to my Redbubble, my Black Horse affiliate link, and my Script affiliate link if you'd like to support me using any of those, as well as my website, which has like all of my like hiring me as a freelancer information. That's it for me today, and I shall see you all again very soon. Bye!
My life is grounded in a firm routine of coffee, sleep, and work. I am not boring, I just stick to what I know.